Hey, it's Bill Gross, the LA probate expert, and this is our EXP National Probate Mastermind call. We do every Monday morning, 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific time in the EXP workplace. We will do it next week, even though there's EXP Con coming up. Today, I want to talk about the number one mistake agents make when they get into probate in the beginning. And I think this speaks to the agent who hasn't closed one yet, who's looking at this as a niche to jump into full time. And here's the mistake. If you're not selling real estate, it's hard to niche into probate. Probate's a good add-on if you're doing other business. However, the first place you want to do business with is what I call your foundation. The people that already know you, like you, and trust you. It could be your COI or SOI, or your past client database. But it really should be the list of everybody that you already know and already knows you. Now, if you're not doing enough business there full time, I would not recommend starting a probate. I would bring some probate content to that database. My basic thesis in probate sales is there's 11 ways to make a sale in probate. Companies will sell you the data and then sell you the only way to use it to make you a regular customer, which is cold call the petitioners or cold call attorneys. So they're basically selling you nails and a hammer, saying the only way to put this together or connect these pieces is a hammer and a nail. What I'm going to say to you is if you're a real estate agent and you're already doing some business, you know how to sell a house, then the next logical step would be to introduce content related to probate or avoiding probate to your database and get business that way. What do I mean by that? So the 11 ways I teach, the number one way I recommend for agents to get started is to learn about estate planning, which is how to avoid probate, primarily using living trusts or similar tools. And then they're going to learn about that content. Second, to find a resource in that content that you can be an evangelist for. So personally, I know a number of estate planning attorneys I recommend to people that I can go through a Rolodex in my mind and think who's a good fit for this person geographically, social style, and things like that. I'm also an evangelist for people who say, well, it's too expensive to at least use a self-help service like Trusted Wills to get something going for about $650, and then they can always update it and get something more appropriate down the road if and when they need it. So I've actually interviewed the owner of that business. I feel strongly anybody who owns a house should have a living trust as a minimum document. There's more sophisticated for more sophisticated investors and things like that. But at a minimum, everybody should have something. Anybody who has something should have it updated and reviewed every 5 years or so because life changes. I literally got the phone having this coaching discussion with a real estate agent in Orange County who does a couple deals a year, wants to do more. She bought data from one of the data sources and was struggling making the phone calls. And I explained to her, have you first called your database and talked to them about estate planning? Turns out this woman not only has her own estate plan, unfortunately, if you can imagine, lost her son who passed away, and didn't have an estate plan. So she's now managing the probate of her son, which is horrific to think about losing a child and then having to go through probate to deal with it. Terrible. And so she's become a bit of an evangelist for estate planning, but didn't know what to do. So I gave her a couple of attorneys I know in Orange County that both are good and have a free consult. Some have a webinar, some have an in-office presentation. And then her job now is to contact her 250-member past client database and offer them the idea that, hey, do you talk about this with your clients? Every buyer you show a property to, you know when to pre-qualify. Do you ask the question, how do you plan to take title? And the reason I ask is it's a good time to think about getting a trust. Because if you buy the property with a trust, now that deed's insured, you have to worry about going back to the trust later at a later point in time. And if you're talking to sellers, every seller you might want to ask, I notice when I look at the profile, the property's held by you, Mary Jane and Tom Smith. Have you guys considered getting a living trust or an estate plan? And one of the things you can offer them is a free estate plan, or you can reimburse them the estate plan upon closing if that's how you want to handle your business. But my point is, I would start calling strangers, especially if I have an up and running business. I would start calling people I already know who like me, trust me, that I can have a conversation with. And I'll share with you, when I started my probate business, that's the first thing I did. I had a couple attorney friends, I had a couple clients, I got a nice 7 listings from one client. I got a couple other deals from another, and I was off to the races. And then I began my attorney and estate marketing program with that already in motion, with that success in my belt. So the number one mistake, I think, is to start calling strangers. The number one opportunity to build your business, if you're a real estate agent or investor, is to first talk to people who already know you, like you, and trust you about the advantages of avoiding probate, of building an estate plan to help them not just even protect their assets, but to avoid the medical issues that go along without being prepared ahead of time. So I hope you find this tool helpful. And if ever I can be of assistance, if you're with EXP, jump into our mastermind group on Mondays at 10 o'clock. If you're not, I do Probate Weekly on Thursdays at 4 o'clock p.m. Feel free to jump in there or call me, text me. If I can help you in any way, let me know. This is Bill Gross. Make today a great day for you.